Welcome back to the show. We are looking, first of all, at this communication service tax that's been amended in Ghana. And just before we went off, we're looking at the relevance of the various amendments that have come in, and of course, the revenue argument of it. Now, Peter, let me come back to you. We're trying to see if we can get into Parliament to look at the kind of argument there. But the argument here is, one, it's an easy way of getting the monies because everybody will use it. It's almost inelastic, as John said. Why don't you think we should do it?
You see, there is always an easy way of getting money as far as the government is concerned. If they want to introduce tax, they can introduce it anywhere, and the people in the country have no choice than to oblige to it. Doesn't mean that you should introduce tax everywhere. You see, there must be a clear definition as to why a tax must be introduced. Look, if you look at the services these companies are providing in the country, is anybody monitoring them? Are they providing what they're supposed to provide to the people in the country? People are crying always. You call somebody and you know you're calling a friend and somebody else picks it up. And sometimes the person will be standing by you and you're making a call to him and he's not going. Is that what we want? Look,
but that should be an issue of the efficiency and regulatory matter.
That is where the government should have even taken interest in first before even trying to.
Let me go to the
if
deputy.
You go in to introduce this, it's still going to be trickled down onto the people.
Let me go to the deputy minority leader, Member of Parliament Dominic Nitiwo. He's joined us on the line. Honourable Member of Parliament, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to your listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, we're looking at the Communication Services Tax Amendment Bill that has been passed in Parliament. First of all, can you just briefly tell us what it is about, the amendments that were proposed?
First of all, let me say that we, in principle, agreed with government with what they were doing, but we had major disagreements with them, both at the committee level and on the floor of Parliament, the way they were going to go about it. We do understand that the economy is really struggling now, very challenged. Some will call it very broke. And so the government needs resources to be able to fix things up and stabilize the economy, be able to pay workers, and then maybe do a few things that they want to do. Right. But we believe that the principle the NDC party had in 2007, when the NPP was introducing already what we call the communication service tax, the principle was that, look, and I'll quote President John Mahama at that time, Honorable John Mahama, he said it was a lazy way of looking for money, just trying to tax people. First of all, you remember that at that time, NPP had brought what we call an end-user tax. They were taxing the users of the service, right, not the service providers. That is, once you speak, there was a percentage that you needed to pay, 6 cents that you needed to pay the user. But this time, it's targeted as the providers.
Okay.
There were two angles to it. One is the interconnectivity service. When you call MTN, for example, and then they are transferring on to, say, Vodafone, then there is a charge the government wanted to pick money from there, the interconnectivity service charge. Right. Then there was another one that had to do with an international call.
Okay.
When you are taking an international call and it's being wired onto the node, onto the service of the company, then you have to pay for that one as well. That was the disagreement that we had because the wording was so ambiguous, so difficult. You cannot say that the person who is calling from London, for example, is supposed to pay. Because you say you want to tax the telecos, but they're going to pass that bill on to the consumers.
Okay.
And so you are taxing the telecos twice. First, you are taxing them for connectivity.
Okay.
You are also taxing them for international costs. So instead of taxing them by 6%, you're actually taxing them by as much as 12%. And it's not finished. It's not finished. It is linked with the fact that government decided to introduce what we call National Reconciliation Levy, the Fiscal Stabilization Levy, which is targeting a 5% on pre-tax profit.
Okay.
And the telecos were part of it as well.
The telecos were part of that.
Yes, just at the end of the day, just the amendment they were bringing, you were going to tax the telecos another 17%, and we thought that was too much, and that was going to break up the telecos, and that was going to break up businesses, and we.
So eventually, what amendments did we have to the whole bill?
The amendments we did, we took out the international ones. but the interconnectivity remains.
Right.
Okay, that's that amendment where the interconnectivity remains.
Okay.
But we also cite that telecos should allow government to monitor them at the various nodes, so that the revenue that is coming, we know exactly how much is coming. It's not as if they will not declare that, well, at the end of the day, we got maybe 300 million as revenue. No.
Okay.
Government should monitor the
let me then finally ask that with the amendments that have been passed, eventually, are we going to see an increase in the amount of money or the rate people pay for making calls and receiving calls?
I hope that the telecos do not pass the charge on to the consumers. I doubt whether they will do that, but if we are not very careful, they may try to pass the rate onto the consumers. That's the fear that we have, because of competition, because of the market, the flow of the market, I doubt whether they will do that. But if you are not very careful, and as a country, they may tend to pass that rate onto the consumers. But the spread of strength is too wide, and so it's difficult for them to take out one decision. MTN, for example, which is the largest market share, it has about 60% of the market, 11 million, 13 million customers.
Right.
While the smallest one has less than 1 million customers. So they are not able to come together to be able to take a decision, because they're also looking at the market. When MTN decides that they're passing the rate, Tigo will not do it. Vodafone will not do it. Glo will not do it. So we are going to be very lucky about that.
Honorable Dominic Finituo, thank you very much for this explanation. At least it clarifies the situation a bit. But then let me come to you, Peter. The deputy minority leader says that the ambiguity in there has been cleared. The international bit is going away. Definitely, government revenue would definitely be fine-tuned, and we get a bit more. Why do we still have to have a problem?
You see, no matter what it is, as he's saying, he's not very sure whether it's going to be passed on to the people in the country to pay. And it is something that is going to happen automatically, because they will need new equipment to connect, to be used in between the interconnectivity section. And going to buy new equipment, they will not like to foot it themselves. They will pass it on to the consumers. And then again, today, as I talk to you now, if you look at the sub-Saharan Africa, all the countries there, the country that has the highest number of percentage of people using mobile phones in terms of, let's talk about West Africa. It's Ghana. Look at the population and the number of people using mobile phones.
So naturally, it's an easy way of getting the revenue.
It's easy way of getting money from people. But is it the right way? Businesses are going to collapse because people are using, at the moment, the mobile phone to do their businesses. And if you're taxing them the more, are they going to be able to buy the credit and then they use it to make their calls? Then again, if you look at something here, the international call aspect. In fact, it is very good that they've taken it out. If you look at
let me cut you again and get to government to find out what the motive was. And the Deputy Minister of Finance is Ato Forson, also a member of Parliament. Ato Forson, good evening. Oh, unfortunately, I think we lost him.
Let me just finish.
Just 10 seconds and round up. And
on the international call aspect, it's good that they've taken it out. If you look at the West African countries, if you're making a call from here in UK to say any part in Africa, West Africa, Ghana is the country that has the highest rate, and I don't understand why. If you're calling Nigeria, the highest that you pay from this country is about 9 pence. But Ghana to Ghana, you pay about 19 pence. And I don't understand why. Is it because of all these that they are introducing in the country, that's why they're charging us huge amount of money?
Well, viewers can come in and contribute to the program. The telephone line is 0207 501 7701. Before I come to you, let me quickly get Anderson to pass in that quick comment before I come to you.
It's quite inaccurate to say companies will buy new equipment to do the interconnect. It's already happening. All there is to do right now is to put a levy on that interconnectivity. It's already happening. If you call MTN to Vodafone, it's already there. You don't need a new equipment. So
you're telling me they're not going to
all there is to do is the charging, the per minute charge of that call. But crucially, let me make this point. I don't think we have even gone far enough in charging. In this country, you pay for your download, internet download, don't you? You pay for even data management. You pay tax on it. I work at the data center, so these things are, you have to generate revenue to develop. You can't expect manna to fall from heaven. It doesn't happen anywhere. It is crucial that we find a balance between what is a national issue we all have to discuss and agree on. I get so frustrated when we start the partisanship. It doesn't take us anywhere.
Nobody's making politics here.
Taxes, you know, quickly.
I'm facing the facts.
Quickly.
If you're not happy with it, that's up to
It was
you.
a quick point. So
Yeah, quickly. You see, this issue about government is broke, Ghana is broke, is no news. Britain, America, Germany, and these are our major trading partners. Our even this aid. From my last check, they are not coming as it was promised. Money has to come from somewhere to develop.
Interestingly, let me pass on that question before you come with your point. Now, the member of parliament said government has challenges. Put it in the ordinary person's parlance, government is broke, and we need resources to run the programs that government wants to undertake and all that. Now, an easy way has been found out. We fine-tuning the tax system and all that. Are we justified?
Yes, 110% justified. Look, the government needs to administer the country. It needs to develop economic infrastructure. We need roads. We have problems with electricity. VRA spends on the average $1 million daily to import crude for the generators. Okay, our hospitals are there. We have education. Some people go to schools. So the government needs to.
Let me introduce this. Obviously, somebody will say that if it is that we need the monies, we have certain loopholes in our revenue collection, in our government activities, and of course, making sure that we get money into the kitty. Why don't we plug the loopholes rather than extra charging the people with taxes?
Look, Kweku, sometimes we compare, what obtains in the advanced economies like Britain, where we all live, unfairly to what obtains back home. Okay, sometimes it is very hard, number one, to widen the tax nets. Number two, to plug certain loopholes. Look, where loopholes can be plugged, they are being done, like at the ports. Okay, some market women have to pay certain daily tolls, whatever. These are sort of loopholes that are being plugged, and the tax nets being widened.
Right.
But it will be as effective as obtains here. Okay, so the government needs to raise money, right? And like I said earlier on, the easiest and the most convenient way to raise the money is the telcos. And again, the point you made about the international calls. When you make a international call, where the traffic is heavy, the tariffs are low.
Okay.
I mean, calls from London to Pakistan, London to India are much cheaper than calls from London to Accra.
So all in all, what we need to understand is that it's a revenue-making object.
It's a revenue-making object and nothing else.
Let me say something about the danger here. There's a danger. I just want to
10 seconds because I need to move
now,
on now.
look at something here. Do we want to progress or we want to retrogress? As a country, I mean, a developing country like Ghana, if you look at this country, they want to go in a direction whereby every house in this country will have internet for free, so that the use of internet will be encouraged. What they are doing now is they're going to create apathy for people to go into using internet. And the world is changing now. Is that what we want as a country? Do we want to progress?
Well, we want the best and we need to move on. Transparency International has released its Global Barometer for 2013. It's a survey of public's perception and experiences of corruption. In Ghana, 2,000 people were surveyed, comprising respondents from 2 MMDAs in each of the 10 administrative regions. The report ranked the police as the most corrupt institution in Ghana, followed by the political parties and the judiciary. The following is a report by Mami Sikadanso on the police on the issue of public perception of their service.
According to the Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII, Ghana Police Institution is the most corrupt in the country. It is still known as the most bribe-taking, as reported by Peace FM Online. This has been an ongoing situation in Ghana and has worsened in the past 2 years. GII survey indicated that respondents were asked to assess the public institution in regards to institution corruption. From the survey, the police were on top on the list with 4.7 out of 5 as the most corrupt category of institution, followed by political parties with a score of 4.2 out of 5. The judiciary followed closely on 4 out of 5. The GII said in a statement that 2,000 people were surveyed. According to reports, respondents stated that they gave these bribes because it was the only way to obtain the service they wanted, while others paid a bribe because they wanted to speed up things.
Well, if you look at the table and you look at the report that has been released, does it surprise anybody? 3 years down the line, 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2013, the police has ranked on top.
Hat-trick, isn't it?
Well, hat-trick of what? The police is disputing this. But if you look at the trend, does it mean that one, they want to clear their public image? That is why they've been on the defensive now?
I think the police have improved quite a lot in the past few years. It's easy to target the police. And I don't know the people that have been surveyed. It's very easy to use the police as the scapegoat if you don't deal with, for example, SEPs, or perhaps the judiciary, as has been mentioned, or civil service. I'm sure it's even worse in the civil service than there is in the police. I've worked in the civil service before. When I was a kid, I grew up in cantonments, and Sunday morning you see people coming around. My next door neighbor, anyway, you see people coming around with goats and gifts. I think we've developed too much culture for giving gifts. And so when people are paid to do a job and they do the job, we're more inclined to give them money. And over time, they feel that you owe them a right. They feel entitled to it. And so it has grown. And even SEPs.
Well, from what you are telling me, you don't seem too surprised.
No, very quickly. You know, SEPs, I think leadership should start from the top. SEPs, every year, all clothing and all those things that have been seized, they are used as hampers and given to civil servants and writers.
Let me go and take my hamper from my break, and when I come back, we'll come to look at this discussion, the perception of corruption in Ghana next.